points by 20%. After reviewing his books and skills, he noticed that the skill slot count was still 4, so he decided to exchange and buy a few new books. Later, in the exchange tower, he walked inside, and the lady from before saw him, thinking it was the same as last time. She jumped in front of him sweetly, telling him she was there, but he simply told her that he was looking for Yang Zin. She flirtatiously responded that Yang Zin was with another client at the moment, so today she would accompany him. However, he just walked past her, telling her it wasn't necessary and he would just look around himself, leaving the lady frustrated and wondering if he was rejecting her like that and if she was not even comparable to someone like Yang Zin. She then followed him, telling him it was okay because it was her duty. Suddenly, Yang Zin ran to him and called out his name. He asked her if she was done, and she replied that she was not done yet, she was just eating in the back. But her colleague had told her he was there, so she hurried over. He apologized to her for interrupting her meal and offered to treat her later as compensation, making her reply that it was embarrassing. Meanwhile, the lady in the background was infuriated, thinking he was deliberately provoking her anger. A moment later, he pointed to the books and told Wang that he wanted to consign those 2 skill books for sale and also wanted to buy some more mage skill books. Wang replied that it was no problem and ordered Yang to accompany him, which she agreed to. Wang remembered that last time he sold an orange weapon, but this time it was purple skill books, making Wang interested in his background and deciding to send someone to find out more about him. Later, he and Yang were chatting in the restaurant. When they finished, he called the waiter for the bill, but Yang told him there was no need for it because she had already paid. Shocked, he asked her if they hadn't agreed that he would treat her, to which she replied that she had a reason to treat him and he shouldn't worry about it. He asked her what the reason was, but she playfully replied that it was a secret and they should go. When they were outside, he offered to walk her out, but she said there was no need to trouble himself because she was heading to another place and would just take a taxi. He agreed and told her to take care. When she entered the car, the driver asked her where they were going, and she replied to the city's second hospital. She smiled, thinking that thanks to Ning Feng, she earned a lot of commission and her father's medical expenses for that month were finally settled. As she was in tears of happiness, the car window shattered and something pierced the driver. She was horrified to see it. Outside their car, there was portal above and a lot of monsters was coming out from it, causing chaos in the street. She immediately grabbed the car door handle and jumped out of the car. Thrown to the ground, she wondered what was going on and why monsters were appearing in the safe zone. Then, a monster appeared in front of her. Stunned, she saw a man coming out of the portal, who then smiled at her. She then attacked the monster with her power, but the monster didn't sustain even a scratch and simply screamed in anger. Yang Zin was a mage with a 1-star attribute and was at level 34, but she noticed that her attack was futile. The monster then swung its claw to attack her, making her shout in fear. Fortunately, Captain Zhu appeared in time and decapitated the monster. He asked her if she was okay, and she replied that she was. He then told her that if she could move, she should find a place to hide first. She ran away, while Zhu noticed that everything around there had been corrupted and the secret realm had begun to merge with reality. He had never seen such a serious situation before. He then looked at the monster he had just killed and noticed that these monsters were not something a 1-star ordinary person could handle, making him remember his colleague's words that an exceptionally powerful monster hidden in the city could bring about a catastrophe at any time. Suddenly, sharp fingers reached for him, but fortunately, he jumped away in time to dodge them. He asked the person who attacked him if he was a mutant, and the man replied that he was not that kind of trash because he was the guardian of the power of darkness. This made Zhu wonder what the man meant by a guardian, as he had never heard of it before, but he decided to set his curiosity aside, knowing that it was not the time to dwell on such things. He then swung his sword at the man, but the man merely punched his sword, throwing him away. He realized that his situation was not good because the man was at least at the level of a 3rd transfer or higher. The man then put his finger on the ground, releasing his power and laughingly said that it was his territory. He then released a dark power around them, telling Zhu that a weakling like him was no match for him, and jumped at him to attack, thinking that no one was a match for him. The man pierced his sharp claws into him, and the force threw him away. The man laughingly shouted that he had really become stronger and that he felt a constant surge of power by stepping on that land. Suddenly, the man's skull pendant called the man a lowly human and told him not to indulge himself, making the man apologize. Someone in the crack in the sky reminded the man that his power was granted by him and that without him, he would be nothing more than a crawling creature in the dirt like his kind. An eye then appeared in the crack, and demons slowly came out of it. The demon ordered the man, who was kneeling on the ground and shaking in fear, to prove to him that he still had value and he should use the people in the city as sacrifices for his dominion over that world, which the man respectfully agreed to. Meanwhile, someone swung the curtain aside, and it was Ning Feng who emerged from a public restroom. He was shocked to see dead bodies outside and a monster, making him wonder what was going on and what had happened, since he had just come back to use the toilet. The monster then looked back at him and dashed to attack, but the ground in front of him cracked, and he simply attacked the monster with his earth spike wall. He was glad that he had spent a lot of money to buy that weapon today, which came with a purple skill and just happened to complement his death magic bonus. He then came out of the building and was shocked to see that the street was corrupted. He then saw someone dragging a dead body, and the man threw the dead body aside when he saw Ning Feng, annoyed that there were still some overlooked insects. The man then jumped and launched his sharp claws at him, taking Ning Feng by surprise. The man successfully grabbed him, but was shocked to see Ning Feng releasing a shield, making his powerful arm shake. The man stutteringly asked how Ning Feng could block his attack, and the demon told the man that it was indeed a power of darkness. The demon also told the man that Ning Feng's power far exceeded his, but then corrected himself, stating that he sensed a more terrifying aura than death from Ning Feng. With his eyes closed, Ning Feng thought the man seemed very strong and wondered if the man could be planning to cast a forbidden curse on the city. He then opened his eyes and shattered the man's sharp crystal arm, leaving the man in disbelief and shouting for his leader demon. However, the demon simply told the man that the user he was trying to reach was out of service, so he should deal with it himself. The demons then flew up to the sky and rushed back to the crack, with the leader demon telling the demons to hurry back because they were closing. Eventually, the crack closed, and the man who was left asked what was happening and how his power disappeared. Ning Feng just smiled at the man. The so-called mutants are those who, during the awakening process, gain the hidden profession of darkness. They can wield the power of darkness, which makes them stronger than ordinary professions of the same level. However, once they lose the protection of the power of darkness, they become vulnerable. The man screams as his body pierced with an earth spike, killing him instantly. Ning Feng knows that the man could be quite troublesome but is relieved that he can focus on offense without worrying about defense. He then decides to quickly pick up the spoils on the ground and hurry home before anyone notices him. A moment later, in the destroyed city, Quang Lan and a lady appear. The lady informs Quang Lan that the monster has retreated and the invasion from the realm has ceased. She notices that two destructive spells, one being the intrusion of the realm into reality, both appear and disappear suddenly, leaving her puzzled about their enemies' intentions. She then inquires about the situation elsewhere, and the lady responds that it's basically safe, except for the heavy losses suffered by the team in the south of the city, with the current situation unknown. Remembering that the south of the city is where Zhu is in charge, she suggests that they should go there to investigate. Meanwhile, someone is looking at the man who was pierced and killed. Duan wonders if all the man's belongings have been taken. Suddenly, Quang Lan appears and orders Duan not to move. She then questions his identity. Duan shows his badge, indicating he is a member of the Cloud Realm, and assures her not to be nervous. She recognizes the badge and acknowledges that he belongs to the unofficial organization composed entirely of fighters, which he confirms. She mentions that she's heard they always act in secrecy and asks why he was there. Duan explains that the dead man was originally a member of their group but betrayed the organization and assisted the realm in invading reality, leading to a monster assault on their camp and resulting in many casualties except for a few survivors. The lady questions if this incident is similar to the recent events and wonders if the realm invasion stopped because the man died. Duan counters with a question about whether they killed the man. She responds that they didn't and are unaware of who did. Duan mentions that the man liked to hide in realm space, highlighting his cunning nature and his own failed attempts to find him. Reflecting on the situation, Quang Lan realizes that despite Zhu's strength, the entire army was wiped out, suggesting that directly killing the enemy stopped the realm invasion. This revelation leads Quang Lan and Duan to speculate whether there exists such a formidable figure in Kinyu City. Duan then walks away, prompting her to ask where he is going, to which he replies that he is off to find something. Meanwhile, in Ning Feng's home, he was shouting with happiness upon discovering that the man's drop actually included 2 pieces of orange set equipment for the fighter profession. They are Eternal Glory, a top set accessory of orange quality with a level requirement of 120, and then Eternal Glory Pants, another set accessory of orange quality, also requiring level 120. However, he remembered that the man wasn't wearing them, leading him to guess that it was probably because the man's level wasn't high enough. He knew that if the man had worn them, he would have had to use forbidden techniques to defeat the man. He then stares at the man's pendant, noting its strange appearance, lack of quality, and unknown information. Flicking the pendant, he hoped there was no ancient god hidden inside of it. The pendant didn't move, but using the pendant, the demon was watching him. The demon, glad that he reacted quickly and closed the realm, hoped he hadn't been discovered. When Ning Feng stared at the pendant and expressed his hope that no ancient god was hidden inside, the demon jumped in shock and panically ordered his demons to cut off all their contacts and not to expose their location hastily, which the monsters quickly followed. The demon sighed with relief, thinking it was close and admitting it scared him to death. He also wondered how Ning Feng sensed him. The next day, in the city hospital, Zhu lay on the hospital bed, covered in bandages and told Kwang Lan that it was the young fighter who had saved them. He recounted how, as soon as the enemy saw the young fighter, they immediately opened a rift in the realm and escaped. She agreed, telling Ju that she could vaguely feel that Duan's strength was comparable to hers. The man pondered whether the man, who had evaded capture by even the strongest, had actually been taken down by a mysterious figure. She speculated that it seemed to be the case for now. She then mused that perhaps the mysterious man was just passing by. Or maybe he was in seclusion. In any case, this mysterious figure definitely wasn't registered anywhere, and aside from some traces of ordinary magic, there were no special findings on the battlefield. Ju expressed relief at the thought of the mysterious figure living among them, feeling very safe at the prospect. The man then shared his exaggerated idea, wondering if remnants of dark power remained on the battlefield from the previous night. She confirmed his suspicions, explaining that their enemies were monsters from another realm. The man admitted his confusion, merely guessing about the situation, and speculated whether the mysterious figure could also be a mutant. He noted that the two devastating spells hadn't caused any casualties and pondered if the mysterious figure could be a mutant. Ju dismissed the thought as impossible and an overreach, but Kwang Lan took the suggestion seriously. Meanwhile, at the border, Ningfeng announced his intention to undertake the job change task and inquired whether he could pass through. The men allowed him to pass, and he saw the Temple of Radiance. As he started walking toward the temple, he was unaware that someone was following him. It was Duan, trying to investigate him. A few days ago, at the exchange, the lady informed Wang that Duan had come to see him. Wang greeted Duan and told him that he had heard Duan wanted to buy a set of 4 transferred fighters' suits. The lady thought to herself that with such a high-level and handsome man as Duan, who was generous with his money, they wouldn't have to worry in the future if they could get Duan on board. Wang then mentioned to Duan that, coincidentally, they had an old customer who had just called and was ready to sell a 4 transfer fighters' suit. But this old customer only had 2 pieces at the moment, a top and a pair of pants. Duan inquired about the whereabouts of this old customer, to which Wang replied that the customer had some engagements today and couldn't make it. However, Duan noted that the details about the 4 transfers, 2 pieces, a top, and pants all matched key information about his master's relic. Although it hadn't been confirmed firsthand, the suit mentioned was most likely his master's. Duan asked Wang if he could tell him where his old customer was and said he could pay for the information, which surprised Wang. Wang wondered about the coincidence, remembering that just as Ningfeng said he was going to sell the suit, Duan showed up asking about it, as if it had been planned. Wang then recalled that his old customer had mentioned going to a neighboring city for some business and suggested he should call to confirm. Later, Wang inquired if Duan had already left, and the lady confirmed she had seen him off. She then asked if something was wrong, and Wang shared that he had someone investigate Ningfeng's background previously. It was discovered that Ningfeng's parents, both ordinary 2-star professionals, had disappeared in an accident when Ningfeng was young, leaving Ningfeng alone. Ningfeng had attended the 7th middle school in the city and awakened at 18. But he was only a 1-star professional. Upon hearing this, the lady was surprised and told Wang that she thought Ningfeng was impressive, but it turns out that Ningfeng was so unremarkable. She mused that she had always thought there was something off about Ningfeng, looking so poor, but now it was exposed. She then questioned where Ningfeng had acquired the items he sold at their trading post, given that a 1-star professional couldn't obtain such valuable items. Wang replied that this was the problem, and although Ningfeng was friends with the daughter of the Wang family group, the Wang family group hadn't helped him much. The lady noted that Duan seemed very unhappy earlier, and asked Wang if Ningfeng's suit could have been stolen. Wang responded that it might not have been stolen, but it was probably not obtained through legitimate means, and this time, Ningfeng seems to have provoked someone he shouldn't have. The lady excitedly replied that a 4 transfer expert is a top figure even in Beishan province, and concluded that Ningfeng's items must have been stolen, which piqued her interest in Ningfeng. Back at the Temple of Radiance, Duan was hiding behind a rock, silently following Ningfeng. He couldn't believe that such a young person could repel the invasion of the realm, especially considering that even a strong person like his master was defeated by the realm's boss. Duan then jumped behind another rock to continue his surveillance, pondering that according to the information he had, his master's relic might be in Ningfeng's possession. If Ningfeng wasn't the formidable one, then it must be someone supporting Ningfeng from behind. However, Duan understood the importance of caution, which is why he chose to remain hidden. Upon arriving at the Temple of Radiance's entrance, Ningfeng observed adventurers battling monsters. Duan noticed Ningfeng changing his outfit and believed that by assessing Ningfeng's equipment, he could roughly gauge Ningfeng's strength. After completing his outfit change, Ningfeng appeared exceedingly ordinary, resembling a student who hadn't yet graduated. This left Duan wondering if it was some kind of disguise. He convinced himself that it must indeed be a disguise because given Ningfeng's age, a novice disguise wouldn't attract attention and would allow him to blend into the crowd easily. Duan